Greetings and welcome back. We have a fun show today. We have a little technical difficulty though. I pulled the video we're gonna play, and I didn't want to specifically link it because it's a new tech exclusive. But if you can't find Styxhexenhammer on any of the platforms you're watching on, that sounds like a you problem. But then I pulled out 5 clips I wanted to show, and they're not playing in the browser. And like, this is the exact same thing I always do when I drop clips. In fact, let me go ahead and drop my, I dropped my Greta clip and it played perfectly. Let me unmute everybody so you guys can hear Greta.
How dare you?
See, I mean, I got Greta and it's playing perfectly fine, but I pull Styx over and for whatever reason, they're not playing in the browser. I re-encoded them through a Handbrake. The audio is now playing in the browser, but the video doesn't play. So I think what we might do, let's just go ahead and run it with the video instead of the, or with the audio just instead, because that way I can run them all through Firefox. So I'm going to let you guys go ahead and talk and introduce yourselves, tell briefly what's going on. I'm going to get these all queued up. Pardon me if you hear a little bit of Styx as I drop these into the Firefox browser, but anyway, let's go back. I guess, Selby, we'll start with you. How's it going your way?
I'm doing fine.
The Stalinization of history is...
the cold is going away slowly. So the last few nights, it's never been below freezing, so that's nice for a change.
And then there's the internet.
During the day, so a good time for
here's some things to do.
Passover celebration, which in Norway is often spent either at home with family or in a cabin with family. So
there's another thing: get hard copy.
It's funny. Firefox is like autoplay blocked, and then it automatically plays. It's like, dude.
I wish I could say the average.
All right, we are all queued up. I have my five clips queued up. All right, Ashton, what's going on your way?
My Saturday was filled with technical issues. I am no longer running Manjaro because it nuked itself.
What?
Yeah, I updated it, turned it on that morning, and the kernel could not mount the root file system.
Oh, that's
so you are starting the Third World War by nuking your system.
There you go.
I mean, my stuff's still on the drive. I just can't boot into it. So I decided
that's a native thing to Manjaro.
Yeah. That's why I'm not running.
It happened to me
system
too.
Blowing up?
Yeah, that's why I'm not running it anymore. I'm running
one day I went to start up and use the computer with Manjaro, and it said light DM missing.
Yeah. What are you using now, Ashton? Ashton, what did you switch to?
I switched to Rizzy OS, Pizza's operating system.
Oh, yeah, it's very nice. It's a good option. I believe new base is going to be... new base is going to be Manjaro. He's going to switch from Fedora to Manjaro.
Wait, seriously? Where did he say that? Hold on.
On Twitter, unless that was April Fool's, because I forgot what day I saw that. That might have been April Fool's Day. I don't know. It might have been a joke. Who knows? If Pizza's on, ask him. But I did see it specifically on Twitter, but... all right, I think I'm all set up. Ivan's birthday's today. He will not be on, but hi, Ivan, if you were watching. I don't see him on right now, but let's see. Mark, how's it going your way?
Mark, you're muted.
Mark is muted, though. Yeah, I called on him and he's muted. You're still muted. Must be muted on your end. You're not muted on Jitsi, but you're muted on your end. Check, check. All right, we'll come back to you when you get it resolved. Dan, how's it going your way?
It's going okay. Lately, I've been dealing with some really bad allergies. Ooh. And yeah, it's been rain. Today, it got almost up to 65 degrees Fahrenheit here.
Very nice.
It was quite warm. And yesterday, we had some bad storms and tornadoes blow through. Luckily, nobody got seriously damaged or hurt or buildings seriously damaged.
Yeah. Your microphone keeps breaking through the the background effect, and it looks like a fishing hook. So somebody's going fishing for Dan's.
Oh, that's the microphone.
Yeah, I know. Mark, did you get that microphone issue figured out? Apparently not. No, apparently not. All right. Oh, when you get it back. All right.
Man, inform everyone real quick.
Oh, Yeah, check. Yeah.
The RizOS Manjaro thing was an April Fool's joke.
It was an
on
April Fool's joke.
1st.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I wasn't sure, and I was only half paying attention to things that day, and I was like, oh yeah, April Fool's, but I wasn't watching a ton of stuff, but I did log in for something, and I saw
I especially love the second tweet. We'll be starting this
So-
transition with the release of RizOS by replacing DNF with Pac-Man on top of the Fedora base.
Okay, all right. Well played,
Yeah,
Peter.
speaking of April Fools,
Followed by, I'm not sure if Manjaro checked the date yesterday.
Mark's back. Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry about that. I'm an idiot.
Hey,
I
you're all good.
just got done walking the dog. It's been a little warm today in North Carolina.
good.
We tend to have really hot weather, so I can in the summer. So I can definitely relate to Dan's weather issue. I do not do well in hot weather. I'm a cold weather person.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. It was pretty cold, pretty warm here the last couple of days. It's going to get down into the 30s, though, starting tonight, I think. I did make an adjustment. I moved my main microphone off of my main desk, so I can actually touch the main desk without actually making a lot of noise. Hopefully that'll work better, but we'll see. Salbu, do you want to jump in before we get started on topic?
Yeah, speaking of April Fools, the Libra IRC network had a good one that actually fooled a few people. They were announcing with a global notification to all logged in users, connected users that they had decided the day before that they are moving all channels into Discord server.
Okay. I know OMG Ubuntu did one that Ubuntu was going to be completely abandoning snaps.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Oh, wait, what?
I was like, wait, what? No, that's April Fool's Day. That was actually my reminder. It was April Fool's Day. I'm like, wait, what? No, wait. All right. So the we're going to go ahead and get into our topic here. This came from a Styxhexenhammer video today. So I said I'm going to play the audio, and we'll do the audio clips here. Because the video wasn't working, but all he does is sits there with coffee and speaks. So I just pulled out just a few clips. This was his alt tech from today, which was it the Stalinization of media or something like that. And so before we get into it, what I want to do is let's go ahead and mention this, because I saw somebody mention this in the comments once when I mentioned Styxhexenhammer's name once time. Of course, his whole name is Styxhexenhammer666, and somebody says, I'm not watching something, somebody who has 666 in his name. So Styxhexenhammer is he is a very, very good and in tune political and social commentator. So I watch his stuff because of that. He is a little more vulgar than I like personally, but I'm not deeply offended by that. And at the same time, I'm not going to pass and fail somebody based on the presence of something like 666 in his name or whatever else. Of course, I am a Christian. I would disagree with him on the fact that he thinks all forms of organized religion are problematic. I just think most of them are, including the majority of Christians. So we could probably have some common ground there. And I discuss a lot of that on my Christian channel. So if you want to know more about my thoughts on that or ask questions about that specifically, you can address that over there.
Yeah, I think Styxhexenhammer have far more in common than you do.
Yeah, so
50-50.
Basically, what I wanted to do is just preamble with that, but to say he has really, really, really good social commentary stuff, and he's right on that edge. I also tried to DM him today because he mostly uses Twitter DMs for communication. I was not able to send a DM. If anybody has communicated with him in the past or can, I am absolutely willing to help him make a switch to Linux. I know he's mentioned it in several videos. I would love to talk with him and chat with him about that, but for whatever reason, I can't DM on Twitter. So if anybody out there does have communicated with him in the past, let him know that Switch to Linux channel would absolutely be willing to chat with him about it on camera, off camera, whatever else. No cost or anything. Just get him helped out, because he's already said, I am not moving to Windows 11. He's like, I'm going to have to learn Linux and all this kind of stuff. I want to get out there and help him with it. So we're going to say that. And anything else before we get into the clips? Anybody want to jump in?
Sounds like he's going through what I went through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What most
I
of
was
us
not
have
going to
right
do
now.
Windows 10 full time.
Yeah, I wasn't about to jump into it.
And there are big points that I'm sure we are going to get into in due time.
Yep. Anything else? All right.
I was just going to say that Mint has come a long way. The latest Mint. I love they've made some subtle changes. It's brightened up the windows and everything. It looks a lot better. It feels better.
Well, we're not going to talk about Mint right now. We're going to go into our topic. So,
yeah.
What I'm going to do is for the Jitsi guys, I'm going to share the screen application window. Can I not share a screen? Okay, guys, I wanted to share my screen with you guys, but for whatever reason, this Jitsi is not letting me. Oh, Lord. Okay. See, okay, and we're using the official Jitsi server.
See, I'm seeing what you're doing on YouTube, but not on the Jitsi
Oh, there we go.
screen.
Okay, hold on. It's doing this.
I'll just get the audio through the Jitsi and get the video through the YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so you're gonna have to be about 30 seconds behind. So I'll play the clips. I'll give my take, and then you guys can jump in. It's going to be a little rough for the panelists, but hopefully you'll get a gist of what's going on. I would like to share them with you so you can see too, but unfortunately not going to happen. All right, so here is the first clip he had from his video, 18 seconds.
The Stalinization of history is coming. It's more than just digital book burning. It's everything else under the sun. There are some things that I've warned of explicitly. Number one, your phone and your computer as OS are upgraded over time eventually will be retooled via telemetry. The Stalinization of history...
Stop. All right. Don't play it twice. Just play once. All right. So he starts out talking about look about what is the Stalinization. I kind of like better the 1984ing of it because this was actually Winston's job. If you read the book 1984, his actual job is to get the articles that people have access to, make the changes that the government wants changed, and put them back up into the archive. And that's the type of stuff that is happening. All right, so the purpose, he says, of the constant upgrades to the operating systems, be it Mac, be it Windows, be it iPhone, be it Android, is to be able to scan files and remove the problematic files. And Windows has already tested a little bit of doing this. As they pushed Windows 10, yeah, you call it accidentally. As you push Windows 10, some people found their Office suite was deleted. Whoops, that was an accident, I guess.
And on Mac OS, they were sending your pictures to iCloud, then they said, "Oh, it's a bug."
Oh, yes. Of course, they were then scanning that for CSAM. The other thing that I think is very interesting about this is looking at the Bible translations. As a Christian author, if you use the NIV translation, which, by the way, you shouldn't because there is a lot of bad stuff in that one. If you use the NIV translation, you are required to use the current online version only. You're not allowed, if you like the 1985 version of NIV, which was a far superior version than we have right now, you're not allowed to use the 1985 version of NIV as a quote in your book unless you get written permission from Zondervan. And because they're constantly making changes, there's not a real solid answer to how to do that. And so that is kind of what he is addressing first, is being aware of these operating system changes. So with that, hopefully you guys get the gist of which part we were at. These are all going chronologically in the video. So go ahead. What are your thoughts? Anybody want to jump in first? Or nobody at all, I guess.
I didn't get to hear much of it because
now
of
everybody
the
does.
delay.
We'll go with Dan. Go ahead, Dan.
I didn't get to hear much of it because it's not piped through the Jitsi.
Yeah, we didn't hear anything.
Yeah, you'll have to do it on the YouTube. Unfortunately, I cannot pipe it through Jitsi. Jitsi is not allowing me to. Let me try it again. Yeah, it's the screen share is not working on my end for whatever reason.
We don't need the player, just the audio.
Yeah, I don't have a way to give you the audio because the screen share system is not working.
But I did listen to the video a few hours ago, and he has some really good points. So I'm kind of agree with him that one of the dangers of the modern proprietary operating systems is that they can push any update without you even knowing about it, and they can disable anything or remove anything. Whereas if you are using a free operating system like Linux or BSD and those. You don't have this problem because there are sure they can pressure a few of the distributions, but they won't last too long. And there are too many distributions to push this out to everyone. And as soon as they try to do that, the warnings will go to every other distro users that something is going on.
Yeah, I don't know if you got to this point yet, but he says that also in his video that Microsoft can actually upload your files to the cloud, and then Microsoft will delete them off your computer. And the only way you'll be able to access them is through the cloud. And then one day, they'll just turn the cloud off and you won't get your files anymore.
Yeah. And that is a thing that they can do, but it is dependent on a setting being enabled. And I don't remember if that is enabled by default, which they could also change via an update. That the default is to enable to sync everything to the cloud, and everything that is on the cloud is removed from the local store.
Okay, guys, I just shared a link to my Nextcloud, so I put the links in there. You should hopefully be able to get into that folder and download all the clips. We'll give that a try. That's spur of the moment, but we'll see if that works. So anybody else want to jump in on anything?
Yeah, I concur. Microsoft's already deleting software off your computer that it doesn't like. I don't think it happens to everybody, but I've noticed at a time or two. Of course, it could have been my patch management doing it, and I just didn't realize it. But I do feel like they removed Splashtop from my system for whatever reason, and they're pushing everybody to the Windows Store. I agree with him on the cloud backups. Yes, it's great to have cloud backups, but when it gets to this point to where I understand him not trusting cloud backups or not wanting to put things on the cloud. And I think for privacy-centric people, professionals, that we should consider those that want to not do the cloud. And it's something, change that I'm going to make in the way that I operate. It's something I've been thinking about as far as introducing NAS instead to keep the storage local on their network instead of having it in the cloud, as an option to those that are more privacy and security conscious. So I think it's a really good point, because at any time you have a file that somebody doesn't like in a government organization, and boom, it's gone, and it may be something really important, So yeah, that's a problem, and they are doing that.
All right. Were you guys able to get those clips? Anybody?
Yes.
Yeah, the link works.
Awesome.
MPEG-4 video, simple profile decoder is required to play, but is not installed. I click the Find in Software button, and it's installed. It sounds like my luck.
Fun. All right. I uploaded the originals, which I ripped them down off of BitChute with clip grab, and then I extracted the clips out of Kden Live. So I don't know why they're having goofiness playing, but oh well, get Endeavor, I guess.
It's possible because it's M4V, which I think is like I think M4V is like, let me look it up.
Did I give you the M4V's versions?
Yeah.
I'm not sure which version I gave you. All right. Anyway, so that was kind of the first one. Any other commentary before we move to clip 2?
I'm just going to read a quote because I have a copy of 1984 right here. I'm just going to read a quote out of the cover. Sure. Orwell saw to his credit that the act of falsifying reality is only secondarily a way of changing perceptions. It is above all a way of asserting power.
Indeed it is. It is a way, because if you can quote something and then change the meaning of the quote later, then that is power. And that is really a lot of what's involved. And one of the things he mentioned in that clip, too, is the redefining of certain terms, which is also true. All right, we're going to do clip 2 now, which is 18 seconds. Hopefully these are okay. So the first one's 18 seconds. Hopefully I didn't clip the same thing twice, but we should be good.
Oh, and then there's the Internet Archive, of course. They're being nitpicked after for book lending. I guarantee that's a means to an end. They're going after the book lending because it's convenient legally speaking, but their real goal is to destroy the entire archive, along with its literally millions and millions of out-of-copyright books.
Okay, so he's talking about the current lawsuit going on with Internet Archive, where Internet Archive, during the Koofies, started lending out e-copies of the book only perpetual... that is not a real word. I'm making stuff up. The concept is sound. The word is not. Only compensate to how many books they actually had either directly themselves or in participating actual libraries. Now, I don't know why the publishers are all mad about this, because publishers are doing this exact same thing. They are lending out copies of books. And when I'm doing books, and the reason I know this is I started seeing 2-cent, 3-cent royalties in my book royalty reports. And I called the distributor. I'm like, what's up with these 2 and 3 cent book royalty coming in? They said, oh, well, it's a new program. Many of the publishers are now lending the books. Oh, so people are reading my books and paying me 2 cents instead of, 50 cents, or $1.50, $2. Okay, that's fascinating. But whatever, if you want to borrow it from a library, that's fine. Now, audiobooks compensate by charging a library, and actually publishers compensate by charging a library 3 times the amount for the book. So if a library buys it, I'll get small royalties for lending it, but I'll also get 3 times the royalty the first time. And so he's talking about this, and I have more to say, but Ashton, go ahead.
I thought that the publishers really got mad because they were lending them out like infinitely or something. Like they
weren't.
Them.
That's what they were saying, but they were not. They were only lending them out. You could only borrow it for like a week at a time, and they would only lend out the number of actual physical copies they had in their library.
And they were saying that's not what was going on.
Correct. And they did lose the first one.
Side, and now the Internet Archive is being like, no, that's not what's happening.
And so here's the thing. The Internet Archive, which is also the organization that runs the Wayback Machine, the Wayback Machine is already fairly compromised. We've already seen some editing of past Internet Archives in the Internet Archive, which is already
shouldn't be possible.
It shouldn't be, but it is happening. So,
like, once it gets in the archive, it should be read-only.
Yeah, so what Stex's approach is, what he says is, in his opinion, the attack against the Internet Archive lending isn't about the lending in the Internet Archive. It's about bankrupting the Internet Archive because they are one of the only ones that has access to millions and millions. I think he did on a video a few weeks ago. He did a live book count. I think he said something to the effect of 6 million books or something the Internet Archive has, which are all out of print, out of copyright, things like that. And so this leads to the first way of preserving our culture. We need to collect books because they are under assault. Remember, just in the last couple of weeks, we have
collect everything.
Yeah, well, we've been seeing in the last couple of weeks, they now have publishers are bringing on what are called sensitivity readers, and they're reading things for anything that might possibly be offensive. And so they're re-editing. So it first made the stink with the raw doll books, which I think we covered in the band news or silly news, one of those two.
If I ever make anything, I'm not going through a publisher ever.
Yeah, so I mean, hey, you can use like our Walk in Christ Publishing because I don't do that. I'm a publisher, and so with that, trying to edit the books. And in some cases, like R.L. Stein's books, they were editing them without the author even being aware of it. R.L. Stein at least came out and said, this is nonsense. Stop doing that, which is good. But what I'm going to suggest, go onto Project Gutenberg. So, of course, if you are unaware of Project Gutenberg, this is a big repository. They have 70,000 free ebooks, all public domain, out-of-print stuff. You can search for any type of books here you want that are old and public domain. Download these. I went on here. I downloaded everything from Mark Twain because he's on the chopping block just because, that pesky word that keeps showing up in his book says he is fighting against slavery by writing compassionate stories involving slaves and using the language of the time. So his books are being edited and pushed back against. Just today, Gone with the Wind is under attack. So immediately today, I jumped online and found a copy of Gone with the Wind, so I can throw that in my archive.
Apparently none of George Orwell's books are on here.
Yeah, so we have to individually and as a possible collection group, we have to be downloading these books from the Internet Archive. All those things that interest you, download those. And I'm just working on the giant thing. Of course, I have a video on my channel about creating your own ebook server. So you can do stuff like that, or you can just save them on your computer. And he's going to get into it in a bit, but make sure you're backing all this kind of stuff up externally. Any other commentary on clip 2 here?
All I'm going to say is that whoever just coughed, you scared the crap out of me.
That's right. They're coming for you.
Yeah. Also, one thing that the Internet Archive has a lot of is, I think they are the ones. They also have a lot of copies of old software and old games. So if you remember some old games that you used to play, and the original media no longer works, download from the Internet Archive the old versions of games is a good thing to do.
I mean, I was able to find, since they've never been released official on DVD, you can actually find all of the Salute Your Shorts are on Internet Archive. They're not in the best quality, but they're passable if you missed that show. Also, I was able to find my Nintendo Power Final Fantasy 1 guide for when I'm playing Final Fantasy 1. I have all my guide stuff there, so I can look up my tables and charts and stuff easily. All that's available on the Internet Archive. There's so many good things over on the Internet Archive, and it appears as though the publishers are being used as the pawns to destroy it. Any other commentary on clip 2 before we move to clip 3?
Why do people even put up with publishers?
That's a long discussion I don't think we have time for here. There's reasons
Fair
for
enough.
it. However, the current industry, if you have all right, we will get into it because it's kind of a pet peeve. I'm of course work in the writing circles. I have published I think 10 books. 9 of them are Christian. 1 of them is science fiction. The thing about publishers is there was a time they were necessary. And then we got to the point where we had what was called vanity press, or at that time it was called self-publishing. It was technically what we would refer to now in the industry as vanity press. You're going to pay thousands of dollars. They're going to publish a book. You're going to buy about 10,000 copies. You're never going to be able to use your garage again because you're going to sell about 15, 20 of those copies, and that's it. In our current world where we can do things like building communities around social media and things like this, I'm actually teaching a course on using video platforms to build an audience for your books. I'm teaching that course later on this summer. And as we do that, I'm going to be talking about building an audience and how good video works and things like that. If you get a large enough audience, it makes more sense for you to self-publish because of print on demand. The books are being printed by the exact same printers as your traditional publishers. Your royalties can be about the same. The only difference is you're not getting a large advance, whereas a traditional publisher, you can get a large advance, but you have to go through an agent. It usually takes a couple years to get a book to print unless it's some major current hot topic political event and you are well known in the field. But if you are a independent person who already has a large following and you want to write a book, your best option is to self-publish it because you're not going to be splitting your royalties with a big publishing company. But if you don't, and even then, if you don't have that big following, a big publishing company probably won't look at you unless your story is absolutely amazing and they think they can return their profit on it. But yeah, I mean, publishing companies aren't entirely bad. They have their place, but there's definitely is a shift in the publishing industry. What I do is independent publishing, so we don't pay you any royalties up front. Our royalties are pretty high. We're not charging you to bring a book to print. But we use a lot of different things in the background to bring our costs down and things like that. So
it almost sounds like a record deal.
It is, yeah, and that's book publishing itself is very much like a record deal. I'd say the music industry though is slightly more abusive because the the people who tend to become big in the music industry, they tend to not be as academic as those in the writing industry, and they're easier to be taken advantage of for that, in my opinion, for reasons that you would understand if you've read all of the musicians' autobiographies that I have in preparation for writing one of my books, by the way. So, all right. Any other commentary on clip 2? All right. We have an 8-second clip 3.
Here's some things to do. First, if it's digital, back it up and don't store it on anything other than a removable drive, of course.
All right. So, if it's a digital file, back it up. This is what I have been doing for a while. I'm looking for copies of ebooks. Any ebook I can find that is of interest to me, I get a copy of it. I keep them on several different backups. I have an ebook. Actually, my ebook server died and I never rebuilt it yet, but I'll get that. I've just been doing ebook server off of my main desktop. Movies. This is important. We have gotten so close to that 2030, you're going to own nothing. Most people aren't even buying or owning movies. Oh, I can just get it on Netflix or whatever their streaming service is. Well, the problem is those can disappear overnight. You can go broke. The streaming service can go belly up. They can have a fight and stop working with that particular publisher, and you're out your favorite movie.
At the same time, though, like they usually push them out on the streaming services first before they even release like a DVD or a Blu-ray or anything like that.
That's fine. I don't mind if I get it. I don't care if I see it, right this second. Or hey, I can get the streaming service to watch it now, but then I'm always going to want to buy a copy. Yeah. What I do is, since I travel around the country a lot, I just swing by Goodwills, thrift shops, and other weird places like that, and I look for copies of any movie. And I'll buy some movies that I'm pretty sure I don't like, but I buy it for archival purposes. I found a $1 copy of Blazing Saddles. I don't like Mel Brooks at all. Never seen it. I'll probably watch it at some point in time. It's not a type of movie I like, but from the content I'm aware of, it's going to be one that's, if it's not deeply censored already, it's going to be. So I bought, To Kill a Mockingbird. That's another one that's high targeted because, we dropped those hard R's. But I buy copies of movies. I buy copies of music. I keep the physical things. And we'll get to the physical stuff in a bit. But with the movies, you can make a digital backup. With the music, you can make a digital backup. With your games, with your files, with your books, you can make a physical backup or a digital backup.
Game cartridge, format shifting is allowed under copyright law.
What's that?
If you have old video game cartridges, format shifting's allowed. Plug it into something and get it on an SD card.
Yeah, and make sure you keep those backed up on an offline system. He talks about the danger of cloud storage. Yeah. Make sure it's offline, and that's really the critical point.
3-2-1 backup strategy. 3 copies on digital media, one of which is offsite.
Yes, absolutely. All right.
Yeah, something. I collect vinyl records. I kind of held back on that lately due to the price of them going sky high. Because I do like vinyl records, especially from the ones from the 70s. They got all the cuss words and everything in them, and they haven't been stripped out because they sound terrible when they do that. It's worse than they leave a few cuss words in a song than if they put something else in its place that don't make any sense. It's an original copy. It has value. I have MP3s. I have tons of them that I've purchased and stuff like that. I got on drives. I have CDs around. I like those too. With vinyl records and CDs, though, they're only as good as long as the technology to play them exists.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a funny thing. In fact, I had that conversation with a friend of mine a good 20 years ago. Like, making sure that your backups stay up to date with the current technology. I actually have some 3.5 floppies in my storage unit. I'm like, I don't have anything to get these off. It's like old college files, but it's interesting. It'd be interesting to see if they still survive after 20 years.
I don't even keep a hard copy of my Bible. So for me to go out and obtain soft covers and hard covers is just not something I would ever.
We'll get. I think clip 4 actually deals with the physical copies part. We're going to get on those in a moment. But anything else on the digital backups?
Yeah. So for those who are wondering, what should you back up? There's two thoughts, two way of looking at this. One is back up everything. For that, you need a big backup media, or back up everything that you care about, because there is a lot of things that one can store on one's local system that one really don't care about. But the things that one care about, like your documents, the important movies or all movies, your music library, and so on. And the backup of emails. And my old man, he has been email user for almost 40 years at this point. He used email before the internet existed.
Wow.
Because email is almost 50 years old. But that's another story. But he has a copy of, he has saved every single email that he has sent and received, which is not spam. And I do the same. And the last time I counted, I'm closing in on 200,000 emails on my local system. So backing up this is important. So if you're not sure of what you should back up, then back up everything, and then later decide if you really need to back up everything.
Yeah,
Because
you also want to back
have a copy of it and not need it than to need it and not have a copy.
You'll also need to back up or keep a copy offline of the software you need for them files. Let's say all of a sudden MP3s, the codec for it just fades out of style and nobody supplies that anymore. You're going to have to find a way to, support that format to listen to it again.
I have winamp.exe for my Windows 98 machine.
Yeah. I would just say, in short, so we can move along, is consider a NAS, network attached storage, and also,
as long as you have an offline option for it.
Back it up.
Watch Tom's video on that.
Yeah.
Also, make a disk image, even if you don't back up like specific files and folders. Make a disk image of just a bare install, if nothing else. Like if you just newly install it, that's a good way to do it. If you're worried about putting data in the cloud, you can just do it on a new install, and then not back it up again. So you'll have an image. Yeah, and verify that image. You're on verification list. Let's go.
Yeah, I actually saved myself with having a backup image of my NAS software, because where my Raspberry Pi sits, the disk got moved over and the vibration did this and it broke the SD card. I'm like, why is my system not booting up? And so it was the SD card broke, so I just popped it out, popped in the new SD card. Look at that. And that's when I lost my book server, because I didn't actually have the book server backed up. I had everything else backed up, but there you go. All right, we're going to do clip 4 because we're running out of time, and I would love to get through as many comments as we can. But let's play clip 4, which is 27 seconds. I didn't know I clipped one that long, but let's do it.
There's another thing, get hard copy. That old book that you have, it's probably available on eBay. There are so many old pieces of literature out there. Look up digital copies. Internet Archive, their book section, you can search for basically anything. So what I would do is search there for different titles of different things you're interested in. Get your knowledge, get your library going, and then search on eBay, Amazon, places like that to see if you can get a paperback or a hardcover copy of it.
All right, so there's our physical copies. I'm more of a minimalist, so I don't like a ton of physical copies. I've gotten rid of a lot of books that I can get on the e-format, because I have a good backup strategy for e-formatting. As long as I have a DRM-free ebook, I don't necessarily have to find the book that is in print. I do save, of course, the copies of DVDs because of the file shifting that we talked about, the format shifting. I don't keep the cases for them all. I usually throw the cases away. I just keep the discs inside of a just a case binder so that it doesn't take up a lot of room. One bin has 400 some movies in it. Obviously, I keep music around same way. I don't keep all the cases, but I do keep all of the inserts and the discs and stuff. But getting physical copies, you can buy the books and movies and stuff. I get movies and stuff at thrift shops, Goodwills, and things around the country. Music the same way. and you can find it all online. All right, what do you guys think about collecting your physical stuff?
So for books, my recommendation is to for anything that is really important for you to make sure that you have a copy of. You should have a hard copy, a paper copy of it. For any books that is really important for you to keep for the future, and for everything else that's nice to have but not really critically important, have backups everywhere where you store backups.
Here's one trap I fell into. I used to buy Audible books from Audible. All of them books are DRM encrypted. If you don't have the regular player for your phone or your desktop computer, you ain't going to listen to them.
Yep. And Audible's actually going to start putting ads in.
Oh,
we'll have it on the Weekly News Roundup.
God.
I wonder if I, as the publisher, is going to get a cut from that.
You know, they keep doing things to make us all broke, but yet they want to feed us ads to keep us nice and jealous of not having it.
Why do they put ads in it if we're already paying for it?
Why are they putting ads in if nobody's got the money to fork out?
I don't know. I'll get all the details when we do that. All right. Anything else on the physical copies?
No, just the Bible. Because if I start anything beyond the Bible is your playbook, and anything beyond the Bible is going to be like,
yeah,
I'm not going to need a physical copy. I don't do physical copies.
I did get rid of most of my.
If have a physical copy of it would be this.
Yeah, 1984. Get a copy, 1984.
That's
maybe Brave New World. Yeah, I have a couple different versions. I actually found a rare edition New Testament, Greek New Testament, that I looked at the price at the bookstore, and it was like, I don't know, how much is that? Inner cover price is like $20. Like, I don't really want to spend $20 on it. I go up and say, hey, there's no price tag on this. What is it? She looks at it and says, yeah, I'll sell it to you for the inner price tag of $20. I'm like, I don't know. She looks it up on Amazon. That book on Amazon is over $150. I'm like, $20 sold. She goes, as soon as I walk out of the store, she's putting a high price tag on that thing. And it was a very rare old Greek text, an old like 50-year-old Greek textbook. And I'm like, yeah, okay, we'll get it. Like it wasn't a textbook; it was a really good annotated Greek New Testament. So it was like, okay.
So long as Olive Tree doesn't go anywhere, I've got my digital Bible.
Are the annotations also in Greek?
No, the annotations are actually somewhat in English. Actually, they're just in letters. It requires an extra code card that is actually still in the book, curiously. All right, we have one more clip left. This is clip 5, and this gets us to our final points here. Clip 5.
I wish I could say the average person in the public understood this was happening and going to happen more. I wish I could say the average person would care, and I wish the average person had the time and inclination to take countermeasures.
All right. Very good things. This deals with the motivation of the perseverance or the preservation, I can't talk today, of our culture. Linux helps this in that as we started, the operating systems themselves are going to become our worst enemies as far as pushing us in these directions. That is problematic. And as we are switching to Linux and using the Linux operating system, it is a whole lot better for maintaining and archiving these things without worrying about what big company is in the background doing a lot of weird stuff. And so the big government is not up there in Linux destroying a bunch of stuff. So
Linux does not care what you do.
Yeah, hopefully we can spread the word and the motivation for individuals to preserve the culture, and so that it becomes as things become harder and harder to find because they're considered problematic with our modern day approaches. That's the case. So what do you guys think about the final motivations and stuff like that?
Motivation, yes. Resources, after moving to this apartment, no.
People tend to respond to pain until it hurts, until they're paying for it enough times. They don't really care. People just respond to when it hurts.
Yep.
I can see what's coming and I want to do something, but
you can't unless you want to make yourself a target.
You can do it quietly. I mean, you don't necessarily have to get out there and be like, I am going to collect all this stuff because you all suck. You don't necessarily need
well, I
to
mean,
do
I'm not
that.
going to be loud about that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to quietly collect these things. And one of the things I didn't clip out from his talk, he talked about, USB drives right now are generally safe, but it wouldn't surprise him if in the future USB is going to have a standard that can and will be constantly wirely connected.
I found that kind of far-fetched for a simple device.
Yeah.
Unfeasible or infeasible, whatever the word is.
I would suggest getting some hard drive dongles too for USB, so you can connect your SSDs or whatever, directly to your computer. Not
you
just
get like a. Don't they have like NVMe SD cards now?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, and there's actually some USB and NVMe adapters as well.
Yeah, but they're starting to make it toward the SD card slot.
This is the most popular one.
Interface.
This will run a notebook, computer, hard drive, or an SSD.
Yeah. That USB 3?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to get fancy and get, because when I can, I'm going to get Bay to just drop the drives in for convenience on the workbench, a couple of those to start with, and then maybe add a couple more later on.
Yeah, just make sure that you pull the drives after you're done doing data syncs and stuff like that. So, Salbu, any final words on motivation?
Yeah, so I think Ashton was had a good point. People's reason for change will only manifest themselves once the pain of continuing or the cost of continuing in their old ways are getting too high. Correct. And for some people, there is no amount of pain that could make them change anyway.
Well, I mean, and that is sadly applicable everywhere. I mean, look at our channel right now. We are streaming on 5 platforms. So right now we have 28 watching on YouTube. We have 24 on Odyssey. We have 18 on Rumble. And we got 1 on Twitch. Hi, Platypus. We got less than 5 on DLive. So I added the restreaming server after YouTube kept on banning the channel for talking about software that's available in the Google Play Store. It took the pain to say, all right, we're going to sit down and do the restreaming server, because it's like you got so much to do. It's like, and then you get so much, you're like, I don't want to do anything, and then more behind, all that kind of stuff right now. But that happens when the pain happens.
Gotta have a backup plan.
Yeah, we are going to get through. We're going to start looking at as many comments as I can. Unfortunately, there are a lot of comments since I didn't do much yet. If anybody sees a specific comment you'd like to read, go ahead and jump in with it. I'll start in over on. Let's see, is there anybody on DLive? I don't think.
I am on YouTube right now. Mars. People historically have responded more to the stick than the carrot. Yet the carrot is the only way that's feasible.
Yeah. Okay. Platypus. The latest Windows 10 update borked my unpowered USB hub. Yikes. And it was forced to update too. Decimus over on Rumble. Stalinization is better. It's so thing that actually it's something that actually happened in history. I mean, I think though 1984 was written from somebody who lived in that perspective, and so actually they're both written on the same principle. I'll be getting old copies of books myself. There you go. God's Bible says God repays. Isaiah 66:6. This is the future. Yes. All right.
Atlas Shrugged's another good one. If you can get an original copy of Atlas Shrugged, that book is pretty good.
Probably expensive though, original copy.
Oh yeah.
Well, if you can get one that's not been altered.
Mm-hmm. I believe I have a copy of it in my ebook server. That is generally before the alterations and stuff. All right, I'm going to jump in on Odyssey comments first. I know Styx's ability to consistently upload multiple platforms is something every internet creator should strive for. Not everyone who opposes YouTube uses Odyssey, so a wider reach. Yes, that is very true, which is why I have mine on YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, and BitChute.
A lot of the bigger YouTubers, they use like paid platforms as their alternatives.
Yeah. Baltimore Tools down the Shenandoah Valley. Greetings. Land of Wind tonight. There you go.
Who's a dog?
Colonel switches to Temple OS. Moonbase upgrades. Do you have something, Salva?
I just was reminded of Killer SCV commented on the Odyssey that he collects Star Trek hardcover books. I was reminded of in 2010 I was visiting a friend after buying my previous car after my inheritance from my biological father who passed away, and he had a whole 3 shelves along one of the walls in his living room, and it was all jam-packed full of Star Trek books. He was collecting them. So
Yeah,
there is
there you go.
something to collecting books because a lot of some book series have the back cover that you or the side cover that you see when they are stacked in a shelf. They make up a lot of nice design if you have a whole series of books. So that's one reason to collect.
Nice. Let's see. Commodore Fan says Styx is a former Satanist because of his upbringing. Yeah, he's probably in some form of Christian. Wouldn't be surprised if it was a Catholic upbringing, which, but I don't know all the details exactly. Yeah, he has been saying more lately. He needs to switch to Linux. If somebody has gotten a hold of Styx successfully in the past, tell him switch to Linux is willing to help him with that. I tried to DM him and I was not able to get through.
I will say that he's definitely had quite a radical change in views and an awakening of sorts in the last several recent years.
Yeah.
He used to be much more of a leftist, downright. He explained in the past that, yes, he was actually pagan, maybe not satanic, but pagan, like worship and stuff. So, yeah.
Baltimore Tool says, I like Tom's idea of 1984 Ring of History. Think of all things you searched for in the last few years that came back with a heavy-handed, single-minded response. And that's the big thing we have to worry about with the proliferation of AI, because AI is not giving us a balanced view. It's giving what it considers the authoritative view, which the authoritative view tends to be on one side of the political spectrum. And since people are lazy and don't want to look at multiple resources, they just assume what the AI spits out as gospel truth. We'll see some fun results of that in the band news this week.
People do not do research at all.
No, and it's going to become worse. Think of how many people that cannot define scientific method yet persist in following the science. Let's see. As a matter of omitting information, case in point, I attended an exhibition at the National Geographic Museum in Washington, D.C. The significant portion of the building was designed by famous architect Edward Durrell Stone, also famous for Art Museum. Disney now owns the museum, and the attribution to the famous architect vanished. I suppose corporate control of their image, but why hide something like that? You know. Walt was a CIA asset, still is. iTunes totally pushed me to resume purchasing CDs. There you go.
Yeah, I still buy CDs. If I don't buy music in any other format than CDs, and if the artist or the album that I want is not available in CD, then I will download it. I'm not paying for digital media in any way.
To my current knowledge, the iTunes PC app for Windows, it will allow you to convert the Apple format to MP3 with that app. I've bought most of my music from the Apple Play Store because I have an Apple account and their selection is really good.
Yeah. Garhow, must be your first Odyssey live stream. Thanks for joining us over here. He says, didn't know Odyssey had live streams. Yes, it does. And we'll be live streaming tomorrow, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the weekly news roundup.
Don't want to miss that.
I have a kitty.
Meow.
Well, let's see the kitty. Where's the kitty? Oh, it's a kitty.
Somebody look
kitty.
at the camera.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't want
What platform can I do a stream on that I can edit and post?
Like edit the stream later?
Yes. Is that a thing?
Like YouTube allows you to stream it and then make edits. I don't know of any other ones that allow you to specifically edit it after the stream except for YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was going to say, Tom, because you take your Friday night news roundup and chop it into little pieces.
Yeah, but
after
because
a while.
I record the sections that were going to be reposted.
With a capture card.
Yeah, that's right.
No,
Okay.
I just record it with OBS record button because when I'm streaming, since I'm in the van and have limited bandwidth, I actually only stream at 720p. But when I push the record button, the record button happens in HD. So you got a slightly higher quality as well.
Okay, that makes sense.
Trickery.
Holy books, Holy Bibles held up the best. The leather binding is still in good shape. Absolutely, yeah. If you have a genuine leather Bible, those things will last forever if you treat them well.
Oh.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, I have a few of them. They're like family hand-me-downs.
Yeah, yeah.
And also, the Bible is the only book that we are promised will last until the end of time.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Over on YouTube chat, Follow Sticks can't find it either. Oh, the video we talked today is an alt text, so it is not on YouTube. You will be able to find that on all of his other alt tech platforms from today.
So if you, his name is in the title of this stream.
Yep,
so
name is in the title, and just type him in. And the one I pulled from was the one from BitChute, since that's what I have feeding into my dreaded K-word application. I got sick of a woman down the complex screaming at the top of her lungs. She had 5 guys for lunch. I blurted out, "Glad to hear you're cutting back." What?
I'm so confused.
What is going on? Razzle Review lives in a weird place. I don't know if it's public information, so I'm not going to say. But hello, Rosla. Golf Marina here. Work today. Kitty. All right. Sticks went downhill after Mr. Roboto. They couldn't think of anything else to top it. Kitty the Hut. That's right. Sticks was a prototype. Styxhexenhammer666 will be the final model aiming for world domination.
Yeah.
Nice. Hello, Steve. How's it going there? It's 80 here with a real feel of 83. Yish, says Spoon. Former Satanist because of upbringing. Okay, all right, that one. Sticks could switch to Satanic Linux. There you go. I don't know. Is Satanic Linux still a thing though? I don't think they've updated it.
No,
although it was just wallpapers though. So
there was a Christian. Yeah. There was a Christian.
Yeah,
the Christian one at least had extra software.
Yeah, and the Christian edition actually had a new release this year.
Yeah, they did have a new release. That's right. I forgot about that.
But the Satanic edition, when it came out maybe 10 years ago, I remember laughing when I read they had a instruction on how to install it, and at least on the first version, the way to install it was first to install the Ubuntu Christian edition and then install the Ubuntu Satanic edition.
There you go. Classic Rock Only says WEB Bible is good, public domain. I've not seen that one. I don't know. I might have it in one of my offline archives. But another Bible that is also public domain is the Net Bible, which I thought had a couple weird translations in it because it was trying to be very different, so it didn't get a copyright claim being a public domain. Very interesting to see. Does anyone own the Bible? Say it can't be quoted. Wait. Since when does anyone own the Bible to say it can't be quoted? Yeah, I mean, that's the funny thing. It's supposed to be the Word of God. Unfortunately,
I think
Zondervan has not gotten the message.
From what my church tells me, the King James Version is the only Bible that doesn't have a copyright.
Unless you live in
that's
the
not
United
entirely
Kingdom,
true.
Unless
Partially true.
The King James version is copyrighted only in the United Kingdom because it is property of
Well,
the
of course,
crown.
that's where King James lived.
Well,
Yeah.
technically, though, the 1611 would be the one copyrighted because the King James version is an edit of the 1611. But the King James version, generally considered globally as public domain. The Net Bible is public domain by its own. The WEB Bible is what he says here, which I have not seen that one, so whatever that happens to be with. But yeah, a lot of the other ones, like ESV, is becoming a little weird. They were a response to the NIV, but they became a little weird, and so I'm a little leery about using that one as much. I like the NASB. Of course, they've kind of went downhill in the latest version stuff. I don't know. We'll get onto that on the other things. The Bible has distros. Of course it does. Today we're going to be looking at the NASB Bible distro.
Oh my god.
Yeah, there you go. Which I actually do talk about. I actually read a different Bible translation every year. Actually, this year I'm going to be doing. I'm reading it a few times this year. After I'm done with my first read through, I'm going to be doing the Complete Jewish Bible, which is a little bit more unique in that they use the English translations of all of the different names of God throughout the Old Testament, and they organize it in the same way the Old Testament was organized in the time of Christ. So a guy who's follows a lot of the Jewish history and stuff said, "Oh, you should check that one out." So it's all right. Well, so we'll talk about that on the other channel when I get to it later on this year. Make your own cloud backup, yeah, and I would keep your cloud backup offline too, though.
Yeah.
Tails OS. Is this Tail OS still a thing?
Yeah, I think so.
Tails OS, that thing that you basically run off the USB drive.
I was thinking of Heads OS because somebody did a Heads OS
Somebody did
to
a
respond to
Heads
Tails OS. I'm like, wait, what? I got temporarily confused. Yes, yes. Tails is correct. It's called Tails, not Tail OS. That's what got me messed up because there was another one called Heads, which I don't think Heads is a thing anymore. But Heads was supposed to be a better version of Tails, and it sucked. I just had a complete brain derailment. We got to get off here, man. I had a complete brain derail. Like, I use Tails all the time. Like, what the heck? It's just not called Tail OS.
Brain has stopped responding. Would you like to force quit? Yes.
Colonel Panic. Colonel Panic.
Stop mounting the root file system.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. Backdoors and everything, especially if we go down the System D rabbit hole. If you have legitimate System D back holes and stuff, I would love to know those. People say that, but I don't think that
System D black holes?
People say that System D is NSA spyware and backdoors into Linux, and I have never seen any legitimate evidence for that. If you have legitimate evidence, I really want to see it, but
whenever I hear stuff like that, my first response is, okay, prove it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I am absolutely open to it because if that's the case, I'll be pushing your Dev 1 and non-System D distributions all day long. But I've looked for the credible evidence. I've not seen it.
Peppermint, SysV, Dev 1.
There you go.
I think Void uses Runit. Gentoo uses OpenRC.
Void is good. What's the other one?
Proof is on their end. If you believe System D is problematic and has NSA backdoors or whatever,
show me
that. You gotta prove it.
Please upload the books somewhere. Which books? The ones I have, or my personal ones? My personal ones, you can purchase them, and everywhere around the world that I can, they are DRM free. There's some places I cannot sell without DRM locking.
Wait,
Go figure.
Really?
Yeah, India does not allow you to do DRM free ebooks for some reason.
Oh, that's dumb.
Yeah. But if you are in India, though, you're not restricted from using the website called PayHip, where you can buy the DRM-free copies of my book worldwide. So...
Hey, bypassing stupid laws.
Let's see. Internet Archive is a treasure trove. It's Big Brother. It's too Big Brother. What? Who's the Big Brother? I don't know.
The Internet Archive should be protected at all costs.
Yeah.
Sam uses Arch, by the way. Cool.
Good to
Person
know.
uses pen and paper. God is my only spy. There you go. Is open source pen and paper.
Unless
Yes,
you have
make
a
sure it
spirit
is
camera.
open source pen and paper.
Yeah, as long as you don't, as long as you're using open source pen and paper, and as long as there's no, cameras that you don't control, you're good.
There you go.
So make sure only write in your house.
There you go. Yeah. And also tear off. You have to tear off the piece of paper, put it on a hard surface, and then write your notes. Because if you write the notes on the pad and then tear that note off, it's still possible to see what you wrote.
Yeah, there'll be an indentation.
Yep.
Yeah, it's even possible a couple of pages down.
Yep.
So
You know what? I need to get a left-handed notebook.
Street Fighter. I remember Street Fighter 2 in the arcades. Yeah. Those were the good old days. Wave and Flock are safe bets. There you go.
Man, for
Wave
real
those
sake,
way too big for archival purposes, though.
They have had DRM for video games way back, even in the arcade game era. They would have like a battery that contained an encryption key, and if you unplug the machine, the encryption key's gone, and you can't play the game anymore.
Yeah. Do I host my ebook collection somewhere? I don't specifically. A lot of the reason is because I had stuff in there that's also copyrighted type stuff as well that I can't specifically distribute. And there's not a real good way to lock down an ebook server right now. We're still kind of early phases in the ebook stuff. There's not a real good Amazon way to manage your ebooks right now. Amazon does it the best, but I don't know. We'll see.
But Amazon is also kind of
but you got to get
They're
in bed
cra-
with
yeah,
their
they're-
player.
They're crazy, and that's the problem. But yeah. Ads keep things cheaper. No, they don't. Ads enrich the players more.
It's only cheaper if you don't value your data.
Guys
I
know
don't
they'll
see
write a
any
new
use-
1984 from the point of view of a feminist woman and possibly modify the original book. Oh yeah, definitely. They probably already have a whole bunch of guys sitting in there, the whole bunch of those sensitivity readers sitting in there right now like, dude, we got to do this. In fact, that's exactly what they did with Godwin the Wind. They didn't make the changes because they got too triggered 2 pages in, like, ah! And so the publisher said they're going to release the whole book exactly it is, with a big essay about how problematic and racist the original writer was.
Oh my god, I would pay to read that.
Well, just buy a new copy of Gone with the Wind.
I've never had a copy, so it'll be my first.
Oh boy. Somebody agrees with the Texan guy. We don't have a Texan guy in here. Ashton's pretty close though.
What?
And Don Coyote says, I agree with the Texan guy, but we don't have anybody
I'm
from
from
Texas here.
Louisiana, my dude. That's
I know.
like,
Well,
you're
that's
a little
close.
bit far
Close.
to the west.
You're either talking about Ashton or you're talking about Mark, because those are the only ones from the
Probably.
south. Because like
Probably.
Dan's up there in the north, and Salbu is not even on the continent. So
yeah, I am from
Yeah.
Norway. Or yeah.
I was actually referring to the
when I
public
started-
domain book collection. I don't know. Maybe we'll see about doing a public domain book collection and putting up there. I don't know. ASV, KJV, WB, I think, or Tyndale Bible are not copyrighted. Yeah, I think ASV is out of copyright as well. Tyndale
Feels good to
Bible
be
is
very
definitely not. That's New Testament only, because that was written. I mean, that was written before the printing press. So yeah, that's definitely not there. Check out LSB. Actually, I already read the LSB. I read the LSB last year. I picked that up. I went to John MacArthur's church last year when I was in California. So I bought a copy of LSB like the first month they were selling it, and I read it, and it is really good. I do like it. So I have already read LSB. In fact, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I actually do think I did a review of it on my Christian channel. Maybe I didn't, though. I can't remember.
Whenever I see the letters LSB, I think of the Linux standard base standardization.
Yeah, there you go. It is definitely a Linux-based system. Good Bibles usually printed on good paper. Yeah, the LSBs, actually the first print run of the LSBs, I think they're getting the sheepskin covers from Netherlands, I think. Everything is super premium in that. So yeah, the LSB is a really good translation. So the NASB guys, which was the best translation, they came up with a new version of it, which was nonsense. And then they're like, "Hey, John MacArthur, isn't this awesome?" He looks at it and says, "No."
At least he was honest.
And then he's like, "Do you mind if we take your NASB and do what we think?" And they said, "Sure." And so they took the NASB 1995 rewrite, and they did the LSB, which basically fixed all of what they believe would be the errors in the original NASB, and they produced the LSB out of that, which stands for Legacy Standard Bible, if you're looking for it.
Legacy
Standard Bible. And I do believe they have the sword modules available now. I don't think anything is free. I'm not... maybe it's... I forget. I'll have to look at what the options are. I haven't looked for a few
Linux
months.
Standards base.
But yeah, it is a really good translation, though. I do like it. All right, we're over the time we usually do. Let's see. Styx disavowed Satanism at some point. That's correct. Styx video didn't show up today on Rumble. Oh, really? I did grab the Styx video from BitChute. So if you can't find it on the other alt tech platforms, check on BitChute. Greetings. I'm the only one on Twitch. I'll go over to YouTube. I think there were 2 of you over there on Twitch, but yeah, it's never super crazy and busy over there on Twitch. My brother's over there on Twitch right now, actually. All right. I think we're gonna wrap this up here. We did talk a little bit about the Christian stuff on here. We don't talk about it quite as much as we typically do, but it was a topic that lended itself to that. So I'll mention, though, I am doing a premiere of Hosea chapter 13 today in about 45 minutes. So if you want to have a look at my Christian content, I'm going to go ahead and drop the YouTube link in. Of course, it'll be dropped over to the other alt tech platforms as soon as, within a few hours or so after it goes up. But that is Hosea 13, the final judgment. We're wrapping up the whole book. We've done expositionally through the whole book of Hosea. So if you want to see and go back and look at all of those, you can jump on over on the Christian channel for that. And with that, I think any other final thoughts, folks, before we wrap up here?
Just be vigilant. Just, take action. Don't just sit here and listen to us every supporter stream and listen to the advice and say that sounds good. That's all. That's awesome. That's only half the battle. Take action. Start taking some steps.
Do something, even if it's very little.
Toward this stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think the thoughts that the Styxhexenhammer has over converting to Linux is a good idea.
Yep. Yeah, if anybody knows how to get a hold of Styx, I tried to get a hold of him today, and I was not successful at doing so.
I really think we have very little time where we can do the most. Things are going to shift this year, and it's going to make it very difficult for us to get things that we want and archived stuff that's, put away and things, that you'd want to have. So I would consider trying to start today and make a list of the things that you want and
that's important.
Go get them.
Want to preserve.
Excellent. Yep. Yeah, just do what you can. Do the things that matter to you most. It doesn't matter what your neighbors are saying that you need to do. It matters what matters to you and your longevity and what you want to do.
You can find some of these things also at garage sales and yard sales and stuff like that, or thrift stores. We have 2 garage sales in this neighborhood a year. Last year I went out, and I normally just don't go to them, but I decided to go out and walk around. The neighbor across the street had like 300 DVDs all laid out, for sale. I wound up buying about 30 of them.
How much was each DVD?
They were less than $1. They're $1.50. I got like a rack of James Bond and all kinds of stuff. Tron.
One thing about the backups that Ashton made me think of it. One thing that I also have a backup copy of is I have a complete mirror of the RPM packages that I used to that comprise my distribution version. So that's also one thing to consider for those who have a storage space. Save a copy or mirror the packages from the distribution that you're using.
Old TV shows that you like too, them have been an item too. Like I on Hulu, they used to have Land of the Giants and The Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea TV shows that they like aired in the middle of the 60s. And they were on Hulu up until 2010 and they pulled them. My aunt for my birthday about 5 years ago gave me a box set of The $6 Million Man and The Bionic Woman. And watch that these days is kind of corny, but you know, to look at all the old cars and do a different take on it, what history was really like back then is in itself is something.
All right, we're gonna wrap this one up here. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. 45 minutes premiering on the Christian channel and in tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, weekly news roundup. So we'll have that going up. With that, guys, thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you all next time.
Have an awesome day, y'all.
Later, everybody. Take care now.